Well, greetings and welcome to our part 4 video. If this scene looks familiar, it's because the weather not only didn't improve, it actually got worse and started raining. Okay, but we can't let small things like that get in the way of progress. So let's go back in the workshop and get back to work on our intergalactic robot speaker cabinet. Well, the weather has improved, so it's time to resume painting. I've painted the bottom of the base plate flat black along with those little corner arches, and now I prepared some masking pieces here, and I'm going to paint the legs with that copper engine paint. Now the legs are almost entirely painted with the copper paint. Now we're going to flip it over so the feet are down, put our masking around this junction here, and then detail the ankles. And now for the feet, I'm going to use a material that I've never used before. It's truck bed coating. Unfortunately, it's by Rust-Oleum, so it'll probably never dry. But it's supposed to build up in layers to make a really durable, sort of a semi-rubbery finish, which should probably be perfect for these feet. So let's see how it turns out. Well, that truck bed paint seemed to work pretty darn well. It dried quickly. It's got a real durable, hard finish. I'm actually very pleased with it. So now the base stand here for our speaker cabinet is finished. All I have to do is install the little kneecaps. Since the legs are already painted the burnt copper color, I'm going to go for contrast with sort of aluminum painted kneecaps and then just the natural chrome knobs. Now the knobby little knees have been installed in all their glory, so the base unit is complete with the truck bed coated feet, burnt copper legs with aluminum sprayed knobby knees, and then the top plate with the curvatures here to prevent the speaker cabinet from sliding off. The handle is held on by these two long prongs that go all the way through the top of the cabinet. So to remove it without a lot of damage, you make some slits here in the interior lining material, straighten out the prongs, and then you can pull the handle straight. So now the handle and that top ID plate are removed from the cabinet. Now to be sure that the top of the speaker cabinet is totally flush so that the amp head can sit on top here with no clearance problems, I'm going to cut out a 6 by 3 inch rectangular hole and then make a recessed handle that will fit down in that hole so that the speaker cabinet can be carried but with no handle protruding above the surface of the top. Well, a little cutting, bending, and spot welding, and we have our recessed handle for our speaker cabinet. Now I'll have to cut an appropriate size hole out of the top, sink it in, and then drill some holes around here for screws to hold it in place. I cut a nice snug opening here for the recessed handle and slid it into place. Use 6 screws to hold it that way, and now the cabinet can be easily picked up and toted. And when you're not toting it, the surface is flush so that the amp head can sit up here without any obstructions, and this is all one piece so it can't rattle. To be honest, that straight left arm has been bothering me. It seemed kind of lazy and expedient just to leave it straight, so I decided to cut and articulate it like the right arm. It seems so much more natural, and let's face it, when you're making intergalactic robots, naturalness is always a virtue. Now, using the same technique I used on the right arm, the left arm is articulated at about the same angle, and that's going to put this arm kind of coming out toward the front of the robot with its little claw hand trying to pinch those Klingons. One final touch here on the arms. Since the inside of the wrist area here will be visible as it protrudes past the front of the cabinet, I've spray painted it with a semi-gloss black. Now for a little complexity and color coordination, I've done the shoulder joints and hardware in the burnt copper color. Then for color balance, I painted both of the hands in the same burnt copper color. That way you'll have copper at the top of the arm and at the bottom. Now it's time to start on the speaker grill. I'm using some about 360 sandpaper to sand all the scratches out of the Ampro. Then I'll use some finer sandpaper and then polish it on the buffing wheel like I did for the other Ampro speaker cabinet in an earlier video. Okay, there's the polish on the Ampro lettering. Now it's time to mask it off and then spray the rest of the grill with the burnt copper of VHT engine paint. Okay, the letters are all masked off. I see there's some flaws here where the wrinkle paint has been chipped away. I'm going to respray these areas with some fresh wrinkle paint and see if I can't get a uniform wrinkling all over before I start spraying with the burnt copper paint. Okay, after about 30 or 40 minutes with a hairdryer, I finally got a fairly uniform wrinkle all the way around the perimeter where it was all scratched up. So now I think it's time to start spraying with a VHT paint. Well, here's the finished Ampro speaker grill in the burnt copper, polished aluminum, nicely wrinkled, and I baked it in the oven as the instructions suggested, so it should be ready to go. Well, it's time to open some boxes from generous viewers who have sent little electronic devices to Jack and me. Let's see what we got. The top box here is from Robert in Hansville, Washington. Let's see what we got. It's some really early antique bubble tubes. Okay, I'm going to use two hands to open this so I don't damage anything. Meanwhile, Jack is busying himself with some sniffing of the packing material. Good boy. Wow, look at this. It's a real early form of the bubble tubes that you can take apart to replace the bulb inside. This is just fantastic, and the color would go beautifully with the little steampunk ant. So thanks so much, Robert. Wow, check out this beautiful bubble light in action. That's just gorgeous. Thanks so much, Robert. Are you ready to open the second box, Jack? All right, this one's from David in Bolingbrook, Illinois. So let's open it up and see what we got. Once again, I'm going to have to go with two hands, it looks like, but then we'll see what we got in these boxes. Wow, look what David sent you, Jack. Some little catnip-filled mice. Jack loves his mousies. And it's your favorite treat. These are salmon flavored. So now we've got some more rewards for you for hiding under the rug. Look at him go. He loves his mousies. Thanks, David. Look at that. Boy, does he enjoy these little catnip-filled mice. Look at this. Going crazy. I think that might be his favorite toy I've ever seen him play with. Thanks so much, David. You're not going to believe this, Jack, but the next box contains 3 packs of your favorite treats. Oh my God. It's almost an embarrassment of riches here. Look at this. Oh man. We'll be rewarding him for many months to come. And then underneath is the electronic device. I need 2 hands on this one. Wow, a Pentron microphone mixer. Look at this beast. Just neat as can be. I love it. Great metal cabinet. I don't know, this could, I guess, be used just as a mixer or converted into a amplifier. Well, this is just spectacular, David. Thank you so much. Well, that's quite a haul there from David in Bolingbrook, Illinois. And Jack is just ecstatic over his little mice and treats. And I'm ecstatic over the really neat microphone mixer. Even the handle on top, it reminds me of the handles on kitchen cabinets back in the 50s. I love it. Thanks so much. Oh, you like those mice, don't you, Jackie? Good boy. Oh, and my wife, who's from that area and who loves to correct me, tells me it's Bolingbrook, not Bolingbrook, so I apologize for the mispronunciation. Ready, Jackie? Oh, I feel sorry for those mousies. Here's a detailed view of how the gun is illuminated. First, an LED is embedded in a small piece of foam and run down the barrel. Then the wires come out the back of the cylinder, down here up the arm, and then to this plug, which is going to plug into the side of the cabinet and connect to the flashing light controller. This is the receptacle for that gun illumination plug. The hole that the receptacle is in is concealed by the arm when the arm is in place. It communicates in here to these two wires, which receive their power from that flashing light controller, which plugs in right here. Then this is the receptacle for the detachable 3-wire power cord, which will plug in here and then plug into the wall receptacle. It then powers the 12-volt transformer. The output from the transformer goes through a full wave bridge rectifier, and then the 12 volts DC is fed over here. The center positions provide the power for the light controller. Then the light controller sends back controlled impulses to the perimeter holes, which then in turn feed this little spider web of wires that go around with color awareness for each wire, so that the controller then can make the lights flash in different color patterns at different rates, etc. I thought this was cute. It was on an old aluminum ladder that I had, but I thought it was fitting, even though the arrow's not pointing over here to these wires, which could hurt you. I thought it might get somebody's attention, keep them from poking around in here. The infrared remote-controlled music flasher unit is semi-concealed here on the back of the tray that holds the speaker cabinet. It has to be that way because the infrared sensor's right here, so this unit has to have some visibility for the remote control unit so that it can communicate with it. You have two sets of red, green, and blue wires. Now I use 4 different colored lights, so the yellow and green, as I recall, are ganged together and will always flash at the same time. Also, there is a white light that I used in the gun, and that is connected to the red, so the red and the white light in the gun will also flash simultaneously. Over here is the sensitivity control. If this is going to be sound activated, you can make it more or less sensitive. Here is the rear view of that controller unit. You can see the 2 plugs that are going to fit into the back of the speaker cabinet. You can easily remove these plugs then and lift the speaker cabinet with the arms right off of the top of the platform, or you can remove the arms. Remember, with the gun arm you'd have to unplug that light power cord that illuminates the gun first. But this can all be taken down into pieces in a matter of just seconds then for disassembly. If someone wants this speaker unit to be in front of them while they're performing, then they would simply reverse this unit, and then the infrared sensor would be aimed at them. I'll demonstrate this remote control in just a few minutes, but for now let's just take a look at the controls. You can make all the lights flash on and off at different rates. This is the rate controller, faster or slower. This, of course, is the on-off, or you can turn off the flash unit remotely or turn it on. You can select the lights individually, the red lights, green, blue, and white, for some reason, makes them all illuminate. This makes them flash. This fades. They fade up and fade down at a rate that you can control right here. And then this controls the music sensitivity. With this key, the lights will respond simply to the music by flashing on and off. With this key, the lights will respond to the music by fading on and off. Once again, you can control the speed of that reaction right here. When the arms are installed on the cabinet and that heavy gun is out here in front of it, it makes the cabinet want to tilt forward, which is not a good situation. So it became evident that I was going to have to drill through here on the floor of the cabinet and run a bolt through the metal base that it sits on with a wing nut, so that the cabinet then would be stabilized and held tight to that top platform and not be able to tip forward or backward, and just more or less stabilize the whole unit. You don't want this tipping forward and having the head fall off the top. At least I don't think you do. So now there's a bolt that passes through the metal tray and up through the bottom of the speaker cabinet with a wing nut. Now this will take an extra 5 or 10 seconds to release the cabinet from the base, but I think it's worth it just for the security that it provides. And here's the rear of the speaker cabinet with the music controller down here plugged into those two rear receptacles on the cabinet back here, and also the detachable power cord. Now when you want to remove the cabinet from the base, you would undo the wing nut, 2 plugs, and whether or not you want to remove the cord, that's optional, but it can just pull it out, and the speaker cabinet is separate. Now, in response to a viewer's suggestion, I'm going to line the interior walls and back with an acoustic deadening foam. This will cut down on boominess and make the small cabinet act like it's larger, if that makes any sense. Here's the back door, completely upholstered with that sound deadening foam. Going to cut down on the reflected standing waves that make cabinets sound kind of boomy and boxy, especially small ones. And here's the speaker cabinet's right side, all covered with foam. Now we'll do the left side. There's the left side, coated with foam, and the ceiling of the cabinet. And there's the portion of the floor that I'll cover with foam. I'm going to leave the part back here without foam. I don't think it'll matter. It's just not worth trying to cut little tiny pieces to fit them in. Now it's time for the speaker selection for our cabinet, and it's going to be a vintage Jensen C12Q ceramic, and Q means 35 watts of power handling capability. As you can see, this is probably from 1968, maybe 58. I'm going to guess 68 seems more likely. Okay, it's in beautiful shape. May not look like it, but on the perimeter I've added a light coat of contact cement to sort of reinforce it. Okay, so I'm going to install this. Right now in the cabinet I'm going to use the flocked, if you pardon the expression, screen, and then the grill, and then the speaker. Okay, the speaker is installed in the cabinet, and I use those nylon lock washers to be sure that they don't back off and the speaker come loose. Let's take a look now at the outside. Okay, here's the front of the cabinet. Got the speaker grille in the burnt copper as well as the side trim, and we've got that hand-tooled leather look vinyl. Now I have to install the carrying handle on top. I really like the way the copper and black go together. Alright, the speaker grille is in, and you can see that flocked screen behind the grille. I kind of like that because then it protects the speaker cone. You can't see it and you can't really damage it. And also the carrying handle is installed on top, and notice that all of the screw heads are painted to match the metal that they're screwed down against. Well, just a few final details and the speaker cabinet is finished. First, I had to install a speaker input jack and wire it to the terminals of that Jensen speaker. Secondly, I finished doing the foam sound deadening on the floor. And third, I covered the two AC terminals here with heavy rubber so that someone couldn't accidentally reach in and get shocked. Okay, and with those final three touches, it is finished. Now that the outside of the cabinet is finished, let's take a look at the materials that were used. First off, it seemed to me like a gun-toting robot, sort of like the Old West, and so I went with a kind of a hand-tooled leather type of vinyl material. This is the same as what I used on that Supro Tremor build. The sides are sprayed with that bed liner material, and as you can see, the LEDs are recessed flush into the cabinet all the way around the speaker grille. As you can see, the top and the back have all been covered with that same hand-tooled leather material. We have the AC receptacle, the two inputs for that light controller, and finally the speaker input jack here labeled 8 ohms. These of course are the studs for the arms and the original latches to hold the back door on. One last look all the way around. So now let's set it up outside in the sun and see how it looks. Well, the speaker cabinet is finished. I moved it outside where we can get a good look at it all the way around. The intergalactic space revolver is plugged in to the side so that the LED light can be activated. Handle on top that is flush so that the amp head can sit flat on top. You can see the light controller there, more or less hidden in the back. You can't see it really from the front or the sides. There's that left articulated arm with the menacing claw, looking for some Klingons. And that's it. Now there's several more things that we need to do. We need to see how it looks with the steampunk amp head sitting up here on top of the cabinet. And we also need to see how the LEDs work with that light flash controller. And we also need to see how this sounds. So we really have 3 more steps here to evaluate the performance and sound of this speaker cabinet. Okay, I couldn't resist adding some more detail to the gun. Some viewers complained there was no front sight, so now there is, the old shark fin front sight. Nobody said anything, but I really thought it needed a hammer in order to strike the thermonuclear rounds primers and send them off down the barrel. There is no need for a trigger because this particular model of a space robot does not have an index finger. One more modification. In order to prevent the primary of the transformer from being energized all the while that the unit is plugged in, I installed a toggle and a fuse holder in series. I know this will make a bunch of you purists breathe a lot easier. Then, as a safety precaution, all of the exposed AC leads are shielded with a heavy rubber insulating material to eliminate any shock hazard. Once again, another Rust-Oleum product has been a total disappointment. Nozzle continuously clogs. It's completely impossible to use probably 2/3 of this can of truck bed coating. I'm going to return it to the store and let them know what I think about this product and them selling it. Okay, here's the steampunk amp atop the robot speaker cabinet. While we're waiting for the bubble tubes to heat up, let's take a look all the way around. It's rather tall, actually. It's probably about 4'6" or 4'8". It's sort of like having a 12-year-old child around the house, a fairly stocky one. Okay, now let's dim the lights and see how it looks in semi-dark. Okay, the bubble tubes are bubbling quite happily. Let's back off now and turn on that LED system and see how it works. Okay, I flipped the toggle switch in the back, and the LEDs have a very slight glow even when they're turned off. Now when we push the button, this will be flash in kind of a slow mode. I can speed it up. And I can slow it down. The camera's having a little trouble with the LEDs because they're so bright compared to the darkness of the room. But in reality, the bulbs really don't flare anything like this. Okay, this is the fade mode, and it's very slow right now. We can adjust the speed. To be much faster. Let's slow down the fade. Actually stop the fade. Now let's try the individual colors. Red. The green and the orange lights up at the same time. Then the blue. And then we go with the white and they all come on. Now for the really interesting part, let's see how it responds to music being played through the speaker. Sort of like having a built-in VU meter. Okay, we're in the flash sound response setting right now. The lights are off until a signal is sent to the speaker. And they flash in response. In the fade sound response setting, however, the lights will fade at whatever speed you set them. This is fairly slow. Until you make some noise, and then the speed of the fade is overridden and they will fade much more quickly. Then they go back to their regular slow fading when no sound is sent to the speaker. Okay, let's try it one more time slowly. This is the fade sound response. And this is the flash sound response. Let's see how it behaves with the tremolo. Oh, I turned the sensitivity way up, so now it responds to my voice. Pretty neat. I'm going to try something a little different here. I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to play a digital recording that I made with a backing track several years ago. And since it is digital, straight from the guitar, it's going to be as if the guitar were feeding into the amp. Okay, so see what you think. Well, I guess that about does it for this rather lengthy and very challenging video series. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to express my gratitude toward all the Patreon patrons and PayPal contributors for keeping us on the air another month advertising free. If any of you would like to join them in supporting our channel, I will have links in the video description to help you to do so. I guess that's it for us today. We're signing off. There will be a rather unusual photo montage feature with some original music that will conclude this video, and I hope you enjoy it. Well, I'll see you again soon, I hope. Bye for now.